Hello there again. It's Saturday. It's the 11th of October. And here in the UK, it's just after 20 past 1 in the afternoon. Grey day. Feels chilly because there's no sunshine out, but not so cold that I need to panic about things. I'm fine. So I'm back 2 days in a row. I think my mind's working a bit better today, maybe. But I just wanted to, I want to get back in the habit of doing something like this, if not daily, every other daily, even if it's just for 20 minutes, half an hour. And I've said before that live streams are really, really convenient for me because they take no more effort than me just sitting down, setting setting the camera up and everything, making sure everything's working the way I want it to, sitting down, drawing, it's done. Don't need to edit, don't need to do anything else. And thank you, YouTube, for that. Anywho, this is where I got to yesterday. Um, I'm having a look at the Inktober Candles 2025 challenge. And yesterday I caught up for the first 5 days because I'm a bit late starting it. Um, but after the video yesterday, I continued to add shading and white highlights. And I've also used some dots of white ink to really bring some brightness out. I also added, did I do cross hatching with you there? I don't think I did, but I've added sort of like shading with actually a black pencil on top of a blue one, and it didn't look right, so I added more black pencil on top of the cross hatching then, just to darken the area out and allow these um, festoons over here to pop out. And it's all right, it's growing organically. It's at that point where I'm thinking, what on earth am I doing just about? But it will all reveal itself in the fullness of time. One thing that I did see on my social media feeds was a variation of Meldine, and I think it was by Nadine Roller herself. I could be wrong, but I want to include that here before I go any further because I quite like it. It's a kind of area pattern, a filler pattern almost, that could, there you are, zoomed in already. Look at that, ready to go. It could be used in lots of different situations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw one of those diamond shapes like this. And then I'm just going to add the ribbon there, and the ribbon here as normal, with the V cut out here. And then I've completely confuddled myself because I know what I've done. I've put these all too close together. But let me have a look. If I just separate this a little bit more, and then it's a reminder to me as well. I'm just going to have this one going off down here. I now have enough space here to add ribbons coming off. I think this one is about giving yourself enough space. Actually, that does work. To add these on, I couldn't have done it there, but I can here. And of course, then we can add, leaving a bigger gap between them than I did. Again, bigger gap here. Just going to add some outline to these little, what was it, star writes down here. Sorry, I've gone off the page a bit, because they're going to get a bit lost here. But if I can just outline them and just give them a bit more weight around there, a bit more presence, then I think that'll work nicely. And of course, I can just make this nice and bright. And then I'm going to use the space I've got here for this one. Again, I'll have that running off the page. I've got all my pens out here, so I'm going to ruffle and do goodness knows what. So perhaps this one will create a narrower ribbon. There's another variation there, isn't there? So I could have a very narrow ribbon here. I wanted to, just to show nothing is without hope or without the ability to make things work. And then perhaps if I go here, I've just had a realization. If instead of making this the full width, the full size of the triangle, I'm just moving my water out the way, my mouse out the way, I'm just doing these about what would amount to about halfway down. Yeah, I know it's going to butt up with that one, but hey ho, such is life. Then that fits. I've got it. That's how we do it. So this is the one that I'd like, and these are half the width that these would be. So we're only going about halfway up um, this here, and of course that then will give me the option of adding perhaps nested ribbons, is it? Well, layers of them, which is quite cute. Can't do one at the top there, but it gives us that idea that we could do that as well. That I actually quite like. I do. And I'm going to leave that. I think I'm going to leave that as it is. I did have a look at what the next tangle is, but I can't remember what it was now. So I'm going to go back and have a look because you can. What is it next? Oh, that's an interesting one. Okay, I'm going to leave this down here, though I do want to do some filling in of some of these ribbons. So I'm going to use a finer pen for that. I'm going to use my Sigma Sensei 04. And I'm just going to pop some lines at the end. I think with the narrow ones, I'll still do that, but I think that it'll be nice. The tiny ones, it's more of a bit of an effort of it. So let's just do all of that. Took me a while to get there, but I got there. So that's an interesting variation to turn this ribbon tangle into more of a grid tangle, which looks nicely. Done a very good job drawing it, but it's taken up a lot of space on this page because I didn't get it the way I'd like it to begin with. And here, I think what I'm going to do here with these is I'm going to draw circle inside, bead inside, an orb, call it what you will, just to add something that's a little less geometrical. And I will go and fill these corners in right off the page screen. Yeah. Just adds that darkness. I don't want to make it all dark because I think that would just be, I don't know, I want some of the paper showing through. But I could fill it with patterns like I did up here with um like just almost like a checkerboard or half checkerboard. I don't know what to call it. It's Saturday. I've only been up for a couple of hours. Did sleep a lot last night, which is good. So I'm beginning to recover from the overwhelm I felt yesterday. But I still need to look after myself until things are a bit better. With this one, I do think I'm going to just add shading, perhaps to one side, and then usually for me, I'm putting the shading on the opposite side to where I normally would. So we'll put it on the bottom here. So I'll be adding some dimension with the use of these. And I'll do the same in the middle, all of these. So, and I'm going to do that on the same side as the smaller ribbons, but I put that aura there inside the ribbons so that they're very much separate. Yeah, it gives that separation between these bands. And because some of these are just a bit on the wonky side, these ribbony bits, well, I don't mind that either. Well, it is what it is. It's working. And I'll add some lightness to the side that isn't. That's what we're hatching in. I don't know if I'll use colour, we'll see. May very well. So that already adds some kind of dimension, and I think this needs something. I think a circle inside with a bit of shadow to the right, to the right and the top will be interesting. And then I think I will pop some shade or hatching in there, parallel lines to make it appear that this is all dipping downwards, which it is really. Okay, so if I do some, you have to excuse the sound of the pencil sharpener for a moment. I'm just sharpening the white chalk pencil, hopefully. Yeah, that'll do. I don't want it too sharp, but I just want to add some highlights on the other side. I'm going to put the highlights in as if they are those lines. I may have made a mistake using charcoal though, because it's going to smudge. And I'm thinking I could have done that with my white gel pens. I'm just going to add a little highlight around the top of this as well, like so. Just to help to give that the feeling of some dimensionality as well. Mm, just not forget these little bits here. How are you doing? Yeah, that'll be fine then. That adds some interest. Just define these lines a little bit more there. I think that'll be fine. Um, as for these, I think I'm just going to have these ends perhaps lighter as they come towards the square. And just try a different way of shading. Because this is just sort of a test page, I don't have to be coherent or, with the where the light is coming from, I suppose. Um, Normally I would be, but here I just think it just works nicely. Use my finger just to soften those rather than a tortillon. Tortillon, tortillon. There we go. So that's just added some interest to those, just very, very simple. And of course I can add shading underneath, which I can do. Okay, I found the other sets of pencils, they were under my desk all the time. Oh, okay. I've got a set of Monet and Kandinsky pencils, so what do I have here that might go? Cobalt blue, not really. Still a bit too light. Um, got a blue in the Kandinsky one, possibly, actually, by the looks on it. Ooh. We've got multicultural marine. Fab. That's the colour I really could have done with yesterday. Again, excuse the pencil sharpener. There we go. And I'm just going to use this just to add some shading. I'm just using, oh, if you can't see me, I'm so sorry. Um, just lines in the same direction, but fading the lines into the white. So we'll get some blending going on there. That's a better colour for shading, I think, than the one I used yesterday. Am I going to use the Zest-It, the blending solution, or whatever we call it? Oh, I didn't put any white in there. I think so. I will add some shading on this side as well, just to help lift it out. So, then I'm going to use my white gel pen, and I'm just going to add some white here. I'll have to go over the black again once this is dried, I think, because I'm missing where I want to put the white. This gives such a bright white, really makes things stand out really well. It really does help. And then I'm just going to add dots of white over the white charcoal. It's almost like little sparkles. And yes, they may land somewhere where I don't want them. I think that'll work fine. Gosh, that's really made the white bit stand out, hasn't it? And there's some white that needed to go in there, a little bit there. Oh, and I haven't done that bit in white either. I may just add some white here and just stroke it down into the charcoal. Use my finger just to smooth it out while it's still wet. And that's another way of adding highlights instead of the charcoal. You don't spread it far, but you just blend it out to that little bit. And it just intensifies that white. I think you can see the difference with these ones that I've done with the ones I haven't done. We'll just add a bit more there. You can really only do these one at a time because of the because it dries quite quickly. You also get a white finger. Look at that. I can live with that, it'll come off in the wash. Okay, so that's another variation. And part of me just wants to do something about these spaces. And I think I'm just going to add some squares here because I suspect I will come up with some cunning idea later on. Or there may be a pattern later on that will need a square to go into, or the possibility of a square to go into. So I'm just going to do that just to give me a nice edge kind of around here. In places. I will do that. There we go. I'll come back and neaten these back off now by the looks on it, while I think about it. Just redefining those white edges where I've gone a bit wibbly wobbly with the white lines. Or redefine the black rather as well. But the darker or the thicker line with more weight, the heavier line will actually help with making these stand out as well. I think it might have been a mistake for me to use a finer pen to do this, but there's no harm in going back and going, right, what happens if? And I am just defining the centre of these with a line as well. Even these ones, I think, will benefit from it. I might be wrong, but that's what I'm doing. Just make sure I've got the lines all really lovely and we're good to go, mostly. So that's where I am at now. And that will do me for there. I said, I don't know what the patterns are coming up. I haven't really looked at the whole list, but I shall wait and see what happens. So I got up to day 5 yesterday, which was Starlight, just this one here. And I think I do need a bit more shade, a darker colour on these. The next one is really interesting. It's another one. It's sort of like it's shown as a ribbon, but I think well, I know it would be useful. I'll show you. But it's called, so we're on day 6. Yeah. And it's Ori Vox. And it's by Stephanie Jennifer. And Stephanie Jennifer, I think, if I get this wrong, I do apologise. But I think um, she's the person who organises the Inktober Tangles. Stephanie Jennifer CZT. There we go. And this is lovely. And I will do it as a border to begin with. And I think I've just found the perfect place for this as a border. And yes, I am going to draw my border lines in first. So, because I think it would make a really um, really lovely border here. So I'm just going to draw these lines in pen as well. Oops, pencil over there, out the way. Behave. So there, and perhaps there. And I'm going to double this one up on this side. And I think I will on this side as well. So I keep saying when it comes to ribbon tangles, I do like to give them kind of aura so it feels separate from everything. But you can do as you wish. So I'm going to start as well by just going to put a pencil line at the middle just to help me. And I am going to divide this not into squares, kind of into rectangles. And you'll see why. So I'm going to start with a curved kind of V shape. Which way does it go? Like this. Top of each of the um, angles I've drawn. I'll use that one there. Yeah. So that's the first step. The next one is to add an L shape or a backwards L shape, a curve, and just fill these in with black. Or you leave them open if you want to add a different colour. Just going with black. So I've drawn this one before. And it's really nice to draw it nice and big because it's easier to work with all of these. So let me have a look. There's that one, and then there's this one. So we've got ears now. Then we're going to put eyes in. Let me just check the drawing. Okay. We will be following I'm going to go from corner here and down, corner here and down, and I'm going to put a V shape on the bottom. So it's a curve, down, V shape, curve, down to the V shape, okay? An upside down J. There we go. I got there, or an L, lowercase l, depending on how you draw such or write such things, but it's that kind of shape. And here I just want the bottom there. Next thing, I'm just going to fill the end in. I'm just going to turn that into a triangle. Then curves here to create seed shapes. Don't have to worry about this one because it's hiding under the star right there. And then just add the eyes. Now I can see how if we change the shape of the ears, you could get different animals, I guess. So it's a fox or maybe a dog, but it makes a really, really nice border. If you like foxes, I do. I since a number of times I've been driving home late at night, and I've been coming back from somewhere through sort of like roads that go through the countryside, not like motorways and things like that, big roads, but just normal single carriageways, 2 lanes. And late at night, and I've had an owl that flew beside me for a while before going across my windscreen. It's absolutely beautiful. I've been accompanied by an owl, and a number of times where I've stopped to let foxes cross the road in front of me. And they always stop and look at me and then dip their head and carry on. And that's lovely when that happens because you're thinking, yeah, nature nature does understand what we do. I've had red kites fly along beside me as well. Um, and on a buzzard once. Yeah, so I like wildlife and they seem to like me. Oh, I've forgotten its nose. This one's nose. Actually, I think that a little curve at the top would be quite cute. There we go. Oh, and I've forgotten this one. So there we go. We can't have a snout without an end. And there we are. That's basically Aurivox. Bats, bats. And I'm going to go up here. What is lovely is to use these individual shapes in the same kind of way I use these Malvinas as you know individual motifs that you can stack or arrange as you will or tuck in wherever there's space. So that's exactly what I'm going to do over here. Because I think a row of foxes would be lovely to just add an edge to all of these, wouldn't it? One's looking over it going, what on earth? So I'll just add another one behind. Of course, you can make them bigger. I mean, that's got an unequal ears, but that's fine. And I'm sure that using the same kind of method, you could come up with different animals that you could have. That one's got a very long face, isn't it? There we go. Cute as anything. Just throw that white spot there just to manage to break the potential strand. Let's have a look. Oops. Oh, the aren't they just sticking out here? So I love foxes. And they're very playful as well. People don't like them because they sort of like will hunt or, kill chickens and things that they have. Um, but only if they've got easy access to them. And then it's nature, natural creatures who are looking for food. Um, but they also are often seen this time of year with sort of like purpley mouths because they feast on the blackberries that are in the hedgerows and other fruits as well. They love it. So, like all other dogs, they're omnivores. Cats wouldn't do that, but foxes and dogs do. I mean, there are cats who love different kinds of fruits and things because domesticated cats are curious enough. They will just try anything that we do. My last cat would only eat occasionally a little bit of butter and a little bit of cheese. Otherwise, he was not interested at all in food. Even if friends had turned up and we'd had a takeaway, which had meat, or they'd had to take away with meat in it because I'm vegetarian, so I don't eat meat. So there's never meat in the house. He wouldn't even touch that. No, not interested. No, I want my biscuits. That's it. His crunch cheese. He likes a certain kind of food. So I'll just add a few more of these here because again, it's quite a ribbon-like. It is literally ribbony with the same kind of endings as the Malvina can have, isn't it? It's lovely because it ties everything together then. And don't forget, you can put them at different angles because there's nothing that says you can't. I'm just going to this ear behind there, and down, down, and perhaps a little bit there. We can add their eyes in. Well, one eye, the other one we're not really going to see. Like so. And then perhaps, oh, cheeky small one, baby, cute as buttons. Kittens, fox kittens. I don't know, for the cubs. Baby rabbits are kittens. Oh, it is fox cubs, isn't it? When I was teaching, we had summer fates, the summer fates at one time, with the PTA, and I'd always end up doing the face painting. Before I knew I had artistic talents, it's just what I did. And there's one young chap who, as old as he was, would insist on coming to have his face painted as Fantastic Mr. Fox because it was his favourite book of all times. And he wasn't bothered what his classmates thought of him, that he was, rocking the style completely. And it was fantastic. He knew exactly what he wanted, how he wanted it to be. And I always say, excellent. We're never too old to have childlike fun and wonder in the world. I don't think we ever should get too old for that. There we go. So we've got some other mixes. This would be something I'd love to add some orange to, but I'm going to behave myself perhaps. Because orange and brown don't really mix, and coloured pencils aren't translucent. Okay. So I'm almost wanting to take it round here, but I think I'll make this one the last one and the babiest one of all. Well, the babiest one over here, I think. He's just got a nice broad nose, isn't he? And just keep little eyes there. So before I carry on, what I'm going to do with my foxes, which are poking out at all different angles, not naturally, they're just all here. just floating in air is just add some weight to some of these lines so that they become a bit more dimensional. So I'm going to the bottom here and to the bottom of the top here. And so I've got Auravox as a kind of scattered motif, or a motif I can build edges up with. And an interesting kind of edge as well, because this is, it's not a nice smooth edge, so I'm going to find it a little bit on the challenging side to work with, but we'll see what comes next. So there we are, that's Auravox. If I zoom out, you can see the whole of this, and then I can want to do anything with this at the moment. No, I'm going to leave that for colour and shading until the end. I'm going to go and look at the next angle because that's interesting. I've just looked back at Stephanie Jennifer's. Something I completely missed is with these, she put an aura in here to separate the foxes, or foxes' heads. She gave them a kind of chin as well, which is really cute. You can't do it with these. They're just what they are. They're just poking out, which is fab. Okay, so that's where I am so far. So day 7's, let's go here. Don't know what it is. I did have a look. Oh, Rambles. That's by Zentangle ink. So that's good because I can use this now to create some empty space because it has got quite dense with patterns and so on. But also can use it to attach um, flowers, this flower particularly, to other things. And this one is quite simple. It starts as a wavy line, and you don't aura this, but what you do is we start with, I'm going to start with the underside, and I'm going to draw a curve that starts at the bottom and goes up and over and down to the other side, like so. Hopefully you can see. Yep, you would be able to. And perhaps I'll zoom in. There we go. So, and then there'll be one here that just begins to go off there. And then on the bottom, we're going to start where this kind of finishes and go under and come back. Or did I just, oh, I've just done this wrong, haven't I? It's the top I should have done. Yeah. So it should have been there, there, and there. This is why I try not to turn my page. It sort of looks okay, but this one here is a bit of a red herring. So we've got, it's almost like a ribbon folding and turning in on its own. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this into an aura, which I will then fill in with something, most probably some more um, orbs, tipples, whatever you want to call it, because it will just help to build that border there and just give me a chance to just rid of the confusion here. I will draw another one of these because it's going to be useful with the Auravox as well. The lines there, I think the circles have hidden it. It's only because I know it's there that I can see it. So If I add white to the middle of these, that'll disappear completely, or even gold. Silver, silver. I found a silver metallic pen. So silver would look nice on this, not gold or orange. I was thinking orange because it's the complementary of blue, but I did a test onto one side of the paper on here. Don't know if you can see it. You might be able to see it sparkle, but it's not doing it for me. It's actually mostly gold, but silver I think would be quite nice. So I've now got this ribbon on this one side here, and I am going to do something to help us follow the twists and turns. So just gonna go and check. Yeah, I can see what they've done. So it's about choosing a line. I'm just going to put little dots in it, and it's going to start coming over this side then. I think it helps us to trace which way. Is that right? I don't think it is, but I'm going to do it anyway. I think it would switch over. That's what we're going to do. It's the shading that is going to really help to bring all of this out anyway, more than patterns, I think. It's quite nice to add these little semicircles because they echo the circles I've used to fill that border in with my happy accident. And perhaps for this one, I will fill this in with some shading just to help to bring this out. Just give it a moment just to dry. But what have I got? I've got this. I'm going to add a little dot, little white dot to the center of each eye, kind of. Just to bring their eyes to life. Switch to the center, but to the top right of each eye as you look at the face of the fox. Just touching the pen very lightly there just to get that. And I am going to also put a dot on the nose as if the nose is nice and wet and shiny. And that will just help the nose to be picked out as well. And I can do the same here. Nostrils, just a bit of shine for the nose, which helps. And I think I will put white in the dots here. So I think that'll be, I don't know, just feels the right thing to do. And sometimes you just have to go with what you think's the right thing to do. It's the worst. You don't like it, so you can make a note, don't like this. And then again, you'll do it another time. You think, oh, that actually worked. Or you'll come back to it in a couple of weeks and think, why was I so worried about that? It looks great. It added that hint of brightness, which is what we need. So I am going to add some shading where these sort of like overlap with each other, as it were, where we've got a twist happening. So, and I'm not going to use Gamsol today. I had a bit of a wheezy chest yesterday. Not Gamsol, it was Zestit. Same kind of stuff. It's just the Zestit smells of oranges. So that smells citrusy. So that might help this to stand out. And then I'm going to take this just to add some shine perhaps where this would catch the light, just to help that stand out too. So we've got that. That actually is kind of working, kind of. It's kind of working. Of course, with this, you can make it as wide as you like, or as narrow as you like, as long as you like. So I'm going to add, I think I'm going to add another one here. It's going to, yes, go like this. So I'm going to start here, and so, and here, and here. And then the other side, so where I'm going to start with the bottom bits and come back there. And again with the bottom and come back there. And with the bottom there. The trick is to let the loops actually overhang where the bottom bits are. And that works okay as it is. Again, I'm going to change to a lighter, finer pen. I've got to remember to put my pens on my left-hand side, where I can just add that aura in there. And then with this one, we'll have it going that way. No, I don't know what I've done there, but following the outer curve, or the larger curve. There we go. And I'm just going to add that shading and highlighting again. So there's the shading. With this one, I'm going to add white pen in those parts that where I've put the aura. Like so. So we've got quite a nice bit of that there. Just got my white pen. I haven't tackled the Auravox yet, have I? In any way, shape, or form. I will come back to it though. And I'll need to go over these white gel lines in places with a black pen. This is actually quite a broad white gel pen. It's a is it Pilot or Uniball? But it's a Pentel, a hybrid gel grip pen DX. The DX means that it's document safe, which means that it's waterproof, permanent, it won't fade in light, and so on. And they are, when they're dry, they are absolutely waterproof. So they're great for other things. And they also don't pick the ink up. They're really good at not picking ink and other things up, water soluble, watercolors and things like that. So let's have a look here and see if I can just tidy this up. This is my least favorite thing to do because I end up having lines that are way thicker than I would like, but we'll get there. Tell you what I'm going to do is, whoops, come on. Okay, if I do want to put little dots of white in these little semicircles as well, just to help them stand out, because we're losing them over here. By putting them in the center, we've got the black around them, which means they still stand out. Just like that. And then just a bit more white here. Particularly towards the tops of the curves. So much the bottom, but the tops would be nice. So that's all looking dandy and all fine and good now. So we've got that there. There's not a lot more you can do with it other than changing the thickness of it, what patterns you put inside it. So I could be here for a long time doing that, but I want to move on. And I also want to give these some shade and highlight as well. So we're having blue foxes today because, so they're going to get some blueness at the base as they deserve. And down here as well. I'm also going to add shading here on this side and around here to push everything backwards. Am I worried I'm using a different colour blue to what I'd used yesterday? Not at all. It's all blue and it's all part and parcel of the learning. If I remember, I'll find some spaces here where I can put samples of the colours or the pens I've used and label them. So I've got that as a reference. A little bit on this side. Oops, that side there, perhaps, and that side. The nose there, the nose there, the nose on that side, nose on that side, and perhaps underneath the eyes, just to help those stand out. Quite nice, wouldn't it? Just a bit on that side of the nose as well. Drawing the page just about. So I've put shading underneath the eyes and then I've put it on the left side of the nose. Left and bottom is my automatic place to put shading on. So that started to bring that out. And of course, in other places, I'm going to need highlights, aren't I? So we're going to put highlights on this side, down that side of the nose, on this side of the nose, and perhaps down here and there a bit. And same here, and down the nose. Yeah, it's worked out all right, isn't it, from the foxes? Wow. Sorry. Surprised myself there because I really couldn't see how I was going to add shading, but I can now. So I'm going to put she's shading on the bottom. So it's kind of the opposite side to where I want the shading or where I put the shading on the ribbon. But we can still do this. Don't forget the shading where things overlap. I'm just softening the line out and making the shadow quite dark. I know I can always come back with a darker colour if I need to. I want to make it dark where things overlap. So over here we've got that overlap. So regardless of whether things being light or not, it's isn't there anyway. Again here, follow the line of the fox that's above, like so. But we can also pop some shading there and there. And let's not forget at the bottom as well, because I forgot about the bottom there. There we go. And then here. Lots of foxes. Oh, this isn't so good, but we'll get that now. And then I will add some white charcoal as well to get the highlights. Ooh, didn't do that side of his nose. Got it now. Some white perhaps in the whites of the eyes. The thing about using coloured pencils is that this charcoal doesn't like going on them, so you don't have to worry about adding too much or it overspilling into different areas. So the pencils are wax or oil based. Oil based, I think these are. Could be wrong. Matters not. I've worked out there's no point me spending a huge amount of money on coloured pencils because I'm not a coloured pencil artist, really. I'll use them like this, but to actually do art, I use them for highlights and shadows on when I'm working with colour or on colour paper. But otherwise, I'm not really invested in them. So these ones, they're relatively inexpensive to a degree. I mean, they're not the cheapest there are, but they work, and I can not be precious with them because I can be very precious with art supplies that just get a tortillon just to help me with these. Because I think that the white might need that little bit of blending in here. You can do. It also picks up some of it actually does pick up some of the blue from the pencil, and it makes the white a little bluer. So that's nice. Not noticed that before, but it's nice to know. And perhaps it's best I don't use the Gamsol, though this tortillon may still be soaked with Gamsol from yesterday. I'll have some in it, but I don't know for sure. I missed that eye as well. Okay. And I'll do the same for these ones as well, just to smooth things out that little bit. So my colouring is sketchy today, not the best, but there we go. So I've got that one, those done. I've got my foxes done. I've got the ribbons done. So it's on to the next one now. So let's see what the next tangle is. I may be heading into totally unknown territory here. Oh gosh, this is one that I did see it and I thought, oh, I've got to try this one. And I do find it difficult. Oh, we shall see. Perhaps I'll get it just so today. So this one is day 8. Dombros, Bros. I don't know. Dombros, Bros. And it's by Tanya. Sorry, you're just going to see my arm for a moment. Tanya Ferial Dover CZT. There we go. And this is an interesting one. And I am going to need to look at the step out, I'm afraid. There we go, because I get it wrong. Let me just move this to there. because I'll be able to see where I am and where have I gone. Like it. Got it. Okay. So this one starts off with a 6 lines. It's crossing over to make an asterisk or a little star. And then you join the lines with V shapes to create like a little snowflake, I suppose, or a little star, six-pointed star kind of shape. That's easy. The next bit, it's one of these ones where Angela has trouble, honest. So I'm going to start with this line here, and I'm going to draw it out, and I'm going to make all the lines I draw out the same. So I'm going to twist the paper. So I've started on the left-hand side of this point. So I'm going to do the left-hand side on the next point, left-hand side on this point, turn it, left-hand side on this point, left-hand side on this point, and then the left-hand side on this point. Okay, so we've got that kind of thing going on. Then, what happens next? Yeah, got it. Then we go to where the line joins, and then we draw a parallel line above the one we drew. Okay, so I'm going here where this part goes, then we draw a parallel line. You make it about the same length as the one that's already there. This one's going to be interesting because it's narrower, because my thingy inside isn't quite so. Oh heck. Yeah, and then this one here, turn it around, that one there, and then this one there. And it looks like a complete and total hot mess, and it's not going to make any sense for a moment because we've got other things to do. And one of the next steps to do is I'm going to join the ends of these sections like this, so they are square. It's, I'm not going to try and make them the same length or anything. However they've ended up is how they're going to be. And because I'm not using a protractor, then with these, we need to sort of join them up. You see to this, where this ribbon is, we need to join it up there. Same here, we need to join those. Same here, join. So you've got to imagine it coming under and going up to that point. So imagine this going under, going here, and then just joining it to that point. So we're basically weaving ribbons. And that is, actually, it's not as bad as I thought. It really does help when you need to explain something. So that is um, Columbaros, Cochambaros, goodness. And I'm going to add shading to it because I want to add shading where we have over and unders. Well, the base of these triangles, the point of the triangle is, the furthest point. This is where they're overlapping here. And I'm just adding coloured pencil quite dark at the bottom and then a lighter and lighter touch as I go up this, just to show that the light is getting in, touching it. So we've got some shading here. Yeah. So that's one part of the shading. The other part, or another part, is along, oh, trying to work this one out. This area here, that's right, this one. So, and here, Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I don't mind geometrically um, made kinds of patterns, but they can be quite confusing when you try to draw them. And then I'm going to put shading bottom of this. Just allowing it just to fade out that little bit. And then I'm going to come back with the white and add the highlights. You'll be just lovely. There we are. Will really help, I hope, to bring this a bit more to life. So I don't find this easy. I know that the more I practice it, the more easier it'll become. But that's fine. That's what we do, isn't it? Practice. And as the old saying goes, practice makes better. It's perfect. Is perfect possible? I don't know. Can we achieve complete perfection? No. In this, it's good enough. So I'm just going to use my tortillon again just to blend the white in. I know I haven't blended it in all cases, but I just want something that's a bit smoother here to go with that kind of geometrical, almost mechanical feel, I think. So that's that one. I'm not entirely sure that there's much else you can do with it other than putting, perhaps filling these central sections in with little patterns or um, sort of like adding filler patterns to the different parts. And my bits are very straight, but if you were to curve these lines inwards or outwards, you'd get a different shape of a ribbon. So let's see if I can let's do another one and have a couple here, just sort of like overlapping. I'm going to put the crosswise one in first and then this one. I'll just go back to my YouTube so I can see that I'm on the screen. And then perhaps we'll curve these shapes. And let's see what difference that has to the okay, so yeah, it's the left hand side one we go with, isn't it? I'm not going to make it go all the way underneath here because that would be a bit daft, but I'm just going to move this so it just gets to where it needs to be. And then what was the next step? Oh, it's the top bit, isn't it? From the yeah, it's from where these meet, isn't it? Out. So is it? I'm gonna try it and see what happens. Seeing this will test my ability to remember how something's constructed that I don't enjoy constructing. And then if I bring it back round to this way, then we just need to make, that's right, we square these off, don't we? That is my next step, squaring things off. That one and that one would go there, wouldn't it? And then we need to try to bring this up. And I am going to curve them in as if the curvy in bits. This one will, I can't see this one. Oh, yeah, so that one would go there, and then we have one going up there. I've done it. Hey, very well, but I've done it. Okay, let's have a look. So here in these ones, I'm going to put little, actually they turn out to be like little shield shapes, just little black sections in the middle, just to add some interest there. So that's nice. That's a bit different. And I'm going to use my finer pen to add some auras to these lines here. And we're not going to be able to see all of the aura because some of this ribbon is behind it. So it's just on to both sides of these parts, she says, and then just one part of this one. Both sides here. We can't actually see the one side there. Both sides here. We've got the one side there. Both sides on this part. And then we've got that one there. Both sides here. And we've got that one there. And so we've got something that's a bit more ornate. Now you could add patterns in the banding if you wanted to. I'm going to add some shading in a different way because I think this bit here, which actually feels more like it's floating above these ribbons, feels like it's a sort of gem or jewel or decoration that's holding these together. I'm going to add a little bit at the ends as well, just to, and not forgetting where they go under. It's the ends of these bits here. With that sense of shading or shadow. I'm definitely going to add shadow underneath this ribbon and fade it out because that makes more sense to me now. As I'm keeping to the same side. So it's where this ribbon bends and I'm just blending it out like that. Here I am going to put some shading in the middle. So we can go to the highlights. So I'm going to have some highlight here, some there, highlight here, highlight. Oh, I'm putting highlights in these now, am I? I am. Some up, some there, some there. Of course, tips here. We'll have some. There we go. So again, I'm just going to take this tortillon just to blend that charcoal in so it's not going to smudge as much if I get my hands on top of it, or if it does, it does. I could get a sheet of paper to put on top of everything, but I'm sure I'd get this off screen far more often if I tried to do that. It is what it is. I'm going to blend that pencil out a little bit as well, perhaps. I'm sure the charcoal is slightly abrasive. So there we are. So we've got two of them. They look quite different, don't they? Even though they're constructed in exactly the same way. Oh, hello, Andrew. Lovely to have you with me. Hello, Renee. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Hello from the valleys in South Wales. Andrew, Shemai, lovely to have you here. And thank you so much for a lovely comment there, Renee. I'm going to do a third one of these somewhere because I think then I don't know what my next space is going to be, but I'm going to start off again with, dare I change the numbers of these lines we have? Yeah, why not? Let's try 5. Hmm, more traditional star shape, isn't it? So making these bits at the top again, and just straight lines in this case. Then we need to do the same thing. So I'm going to start here. Oh no, start here and extend the line. Move round, same side, the same, shape. We're just repeating this. So I'm doing the left-hand side of each of these diamond shapes and just extend the line out. And I'm going to do the same here then. Oops, hiding behind Mr. Fox there. And then we go back and then we put a line above that first line. So we go to here and add that. Here, add that. Here, add that. To here and go ooh, that way. Here and oh, I get to go behind the foxes there. And there we've got 5. So it's the same thing. Is we're going to square these sides off, as it were. You could put a little curve in it. It would look quite cute. And then we're just going to bring these down to roughly where that would go. So I'm putting a slight curve on these parts. So I've got another one of these shapes, but it's just 5-sided. So I'm guessing you could do it with 4 or 3 or any number. It's just playing around with it. But it shows that the number of lines you've got there isn't critical. It's the method of constructing the pattern is the same. I really do quite like this. So I am going to add lines. This time I'm just adding one on the right hand side of this ribbon and then the long edge here, because that will help to emphasize the folding of this and make things appear as if they belong together. Or how we get to this origami in ink origami, isn't it? So that actually works quite nicely. Okay, so what can I do here? I'm going to do a little kind of flower or leaf in the center. So I'm starting roughly at the center of this diamond and drawing a little seed shape, another one there, and so on. So the little leaves are at 90 degrees towards the other points of this little diamond. She could have left them open and fill them with white. I don't know what I'm going to do, but we'll see now. Yes, we've got something quite sweet going on there. So it's time for shading. So how did I like the shading last time, where I'm looking at where there's a space underneath this, where the ribbon will go. You could almost draw the other side of the ribbon in if you wanted to. In fact, I might do that because you can work out where the corner of this is parallel down, and then fill that in with black ink, which I hope will dry there, and just go parallel to this section, and then we get proper ribbon openings, I suppose. Once I've got, I think that once I know what something is doing and how it works, I can see other possibilities in things. And out of practice of doing all of this, playing around with patterns and making variations and seeing where that takes me. I haven't done much of it for a while for various reasons. So let's have a look. So we're going to go about there. I'll just fill this in with black. But once you start doing it, then the creative mind goes, "Oh, I remember about this." And it becomes instinctive to do it. It's not sort of like overthinking is the sort of like killer for all of this. I like having the band just on one side here. I think it's rather sweet. So that should follow through over here. So I think I am going to have to put the bands in on both sides, sadly, because it's not making sense now. That's okay. I can do that. I've just got that one to do there. This is a gap here behind the fox, so I am going to add black there. It's a little spot. But we're beginning to get this feeling of, oh, that needs one as well. But that's okay because I am going to put shading over both lines. So because there's a fold, under the fold there would be shadow. Of course, we're going to have shadow where the foxes are because that they'll cast a shadow on this as well. So we're down there definitely. Plenty there, thanks to the foxes. And then going to put some shadow from here and at the edge, just a little bit there, just to help to bring the highlight out. Not my best drawing, but you know, I keep saying this and I'm going to keep saying it again. This is just trying these patterns out, seeing where they go, simple, variations I can come up with. And it's a starting point for other explorations or for using these. I do like these, but I've drawn them so big because I've used quite a broad pen, the O8. And with these, I think it's going to be dark blue in the center. It's a circle somewhere for a moment. Let me see, is that what I think it is? I don't know. No, it's another one of them. That's that. A moment, because I'm going to have a look in my pencils and see what I got here. Because I'm hoping I don't seem to have any blender pencils here, which is a shame, unless they're somewhere else, because they'd be perfect for blending this. But there we are. So I'm going to add the charcoal. Which one am I on? This one. I'm not going to worry about the black there. We're going to assume everything's going to get a nice shine. Just a little bit in the bottom there. I need some as well. Everything of my oh, Okay, where did I put that? There. So if you hear any noises, I've got a glass that's rocking on my table here as I'm working. On my list to get a table that's more sturdy, but it's not the top of my list of things that's needed. Other things need to be done in my house first, so oops, sorry about the squeak. Sorry about the squeak. That just adds that sense of I like how this will actually blend things out. I'm gonna have to go on a hunt for my blending pencils. Like how I'm able to pick up some of the blue and spread it. What I want to do with this one is I am going to put dots of white at the top, these sections, but also a couple in each of the leaves or leaflets. Loads of the leaves, just like that. Space for a third one at the top, I'll do that, a fourth one in one case. I think right at the centre there. And I am going to just add some white dots where the highlight would be the most intense, I think, just to help to brighten this up a little bit. So where else? There. Just trying to touch this quite lightly so I only get a very small dot, not big dots on this at all. I could do with some shading around the top of these, I think. Something going on here, perhaps. Not sure that's right, but I do need some more white chalk there in the middle. It's gone very pale. That's okay. Perhaps it's good enough as it is, perhaps. Those little white dots really bring things out. And again, I'm going to use my pen just to bring some highlights here. I'm going to put white dots in the middle of these black diamonds or shield shapes. And perhaps just some on the highlighted areas, just to help to bring that out and give it a bit of a sparkle without using glitter pens or anything. So it's just along there as well. Some of the lines perhaps could do with going over with a black pen where they've become um, the charcoal has faded them. Here I'm just adding some lines to the edge of this, like a radiance. And for here, I'm going to add those, and then I'm just going to swoop them, perhaps. As long as I don't swoop too hard, it'll smudge these out a little bit. And so instead of having really bright highlights, it'll be slightly softer but brighter than the charcoal. Oh gosh, I got very Welsh then. So those are the Cochombros. Cochombros? Ombros, which are quite nice. I think so. Okay, where's the next one? Oh, the next one. The next one, I have got space from. I've got space most probably for a couple more. I'll be catching up with myself now. So that was day 8. Day 9 is Little Life. Little Life. This is by Barbara Stever, Susie T. And then I may have space for one more here. Now this is lovely. It's an organic pattern that can be used as an overall pattern, a ribbon pattern, if you like, or you can use it. Um, this is a variation of the Marivol. Marivol, is it? Melvina. I don't know where I got Marivol from. Who knows? The Melvina, where instead of having it as a band, a ribbon, I used individual motifs or part of it to create these little tags, I suppose, or little ribbon ends sticking out there. I did the same with something else with the Orovots, where I've got it there as a ribbon band. But up here, I've just used the individual foxes and just sort of like put them on the edge like an organic edge, which I really like. So let me have a look at this because it's really quite nice to do. So hopefully I can get this in the way. I know what I'm doing, and there are going to be plenty of variations with this as well. Okay, so I'm going to start with a wave, just like that. Yeah, I'll go there. There we are. Bit at an angle, but you'll must probably see more of what I'm doing rather than just my hand. And then I'm going to mirror this to give me sort of like leaf patterns or leaf shapes that sort of like go together. Now, just two of them would make a ribbon. One of them on its own would actually. But here, I'll do that a variation on that somewhere else, I think. But I'll just make three here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put an aura around this to say, hey, I'm here. I'm not spilling out into anything else. I'm not able to spill out into anything else. I am who I am. So that's really nice. I'm going to go back and add some inky glue to the tops and bottoms of these little leaf shapes, just rounding everything off there, just that little bit. So I'm very good at drawing this, these wavy lines in any way, but I do my best. And then at one end, it doesn't matter which end. This is the original pattern. You put like a little leaf shape there. That's why I didn't add the rounding. Wasn't there either, but we'll go back and do that in a moment. I will just put the top bit in there. And then I like to add just a little bit of black in the middle, like it's almost like a seed there or something special. Yeah, something unique to the plant. It's like a little eye actually. And then I'm going to draw a line from this to the top of the leaf. And I suppose we could construct this with using channels to draw the pattern in, but today not. Now the way that I can't remember the woman's name, Barbara did this, and I'm going to do the same, is you choose one side of the leaf to draw lots of very fine lines on one side. So you've got a side that's darker and a side that's lighter. So that works nicely, it gives you that shadow. It's starting to give you the sense of highlights, volume or dimension if you prefer, but volume to the drawing. And of course I'm going to add to that with pencils. To intensify this. And so we've got this as the pattern. I went off. So there's this. It looks almost like little fish as well, doesn't it? With their tails missing. They're fishy, just a bit fishy. So I'm going to take my blue coloured pencil and I'm going to add shading to the left-hand side of each of these for now. Just going to start with the left, right the way across the bottom as well. So that's where it will be the darkest because it's at the bottom. And perhaps some around there and around this eye. So we're going around the eye and then just a line to the bottom, and I'll just add a bit there. So we have a look, and I will add some graphite. Now this will dull down my black lines, but I'm happy for that to happen because I want a softer effect here, I think. Let's see how that looks. So that's quite nice. And then I'm going to add my highlights at the top. Just like so. And then I will use the tortillon just to use this into the paper and just give us that lighter shade at the top. It doesn't have to go all the way out to the edges. In fact, if it doesn't, it's going to add a bit more of that dimension, feeling of volume to it. But it's just subtle enough that it adds that highlight and helps to bring that dimensionality out. She looks quite nicely. In some ways, I just want to add a little bit of blue on the top edges just to have this almost like fading away or, having a curved feeling to all of this so that a little bit of shadow there to suggest it's curving away from us so that it makes these feel a bit more bulbous, I suppose is the word I'm looking for. Bulbous. That's the word I'm looking for, I'm using. So that is subtle, but it works. So I quite like that. Okay. Um, this edge, I'm just going to do something with the aura. I'm going to put another tiny aura around this. So I don't really want to add any colour to this or any complex patterns, but what I will do is I'm just going to use some hatching lines just to darken this up, still let the colour of the paper show through. Because I'm doing these vertical to the orientation of my page, they won't clash with the lines. It'll help to separate this as well from the reefs or fishes, tailless, finless fishes. Seed pods, be seeds, couldn't they? Take long to do. Do you think those central lines need reinforcing though with black? So I'll do that in a moment just to help to bring the central bit out. No, I put black in the middle of those little seed shapes, I suppose. I think I'm going to go over that bit with all of that with white. And once the white's dried, I'm just going to put a black dot on it. Yeah. Just want that bright white just to show, and perhaps just a few dots of the white here just to brighten that up and just to bring out that feeling of, reflection of scattered light, twinkling, sparkling. There we go. So that, yeah, that feels much better, although I do want to do something about these central lines, don't I? Just to darken them back up. I need to do that with these patterns here, whose name I have already forgotten. I'm going to fill that bit in with black. It's not essential. So that's actually worked nicely. I will just go over the outside lines of this one, just to help that stand out from everything else. Bonfire, so I'm focusing on what I'm doing now. I'm just going to bring my foxes back to life as well. Okay, so that's one version of leaflets. So what I'm going to do somewhere else, it's probably down here. I'll decide what I'm going to put up here afterwards. I've got options. I'm going to look at what the next pattern is and see what goes on there. But what I'm going to do down here after I've gone and reinforced the outside lines on this pattern as well. So making all these black lines nice and strong again. So they are visible on this, because it's getting a bit lost in amongst all the colour. Just a bit. We'll be fine. It's okay then, that one done. I'll leave that one. But I'm going to do these leaflets with some variations, and I'm going to start them growing from these individual lilacs. So I'm going to keep to the same shape, and I'm going to put a circle at the bottom, this one, and the straight line there. I'm going to add a bit of corner rounding. I haven't done much of that today. And then on one side, which would be the bottom part of the leaf, I'm just going to put some diagonal lines in, close together. So it feels like it's got dimension to it. And then I'll add another one, but I'm going to tuck it behind this one, almost like we're creating a bush of them. Now, where I have very little space here, where this would have disappeared, I'm just going to fill that in with black. And I'm going to do the same on this one. So I'm going to put some clusters in so we can see what they look like when they're clustered together. Rather than organised as this lovely wavy pattern with a lot of dimension. Again, any of these variations you could use in this. I'm sure I could figure out a way of making those plump bits into fins or tails for the fish at the moment. Mine's beginning to go to the sink full of washing up I've got to do. I said that with a grimace. To do some adulting after this. Go. And so we're getting these lovely shapes. And I'm not going to be able to see the circular bit underneath this, but I sure as heck can put these diagonal lines in, because it's implied that the bottom of this shape will be just like the others. So I really am overlapping these shapes. I'm trying not to put the central line where so it meets up with another leaf central line. And I'm going to put the angle of these diagonal lines differently so it helps to separate out the different leaves. Have I gone off the page? I have, I'm sorry. Oops, my bad. And then there, and then we can have one is at the same angle and can't do much about that, but you can see it's obviously different. This gap here, I am not going to try and put anything to do with a leaf in there, but I am going to fill it with just black because that's what I do. And with these, I'm also going to go back and I'm going to thicken that lower line with them so that it looks like they're in shadow already, that there's more light there or less light there. Pushes them backwards as well as making them more prominent, but it does something really nice with them. So here's another one. To make that one nice and dark, then I'm just going to put these lines in. So we've got a nice collection of these. They remind me of mussels almost, you know, the shellfish that you get. And it's really nice. They look really nice against these stars called chambros, grosbros, I don't know. They look really nice against that. It's a interesting kind of um I will put that one there, one here, and then we just want this going. That's that way, so I want it a bit more diagonally aligned. Sorry, I'm off the screen. I forgot to check. It's going to work. And then perhaps we can do one here with this, with the base in it as well. And these curves don't have to be straight, or these lines in the center, they don't have to be straight. They can be any shape you like. I mean, I've just put a bit of a curve on this one because why not? And the same with these diagonal lines. If you curve them, you're going to add a feeling of shape to them rather than leaving them dead straight and flat. There's still a dimension to them, but you know, I'm trying to get my everything here. Pens out the way might help. Just add another couple over here. This one is going to be interesting because that one is going to go there. I'm going to have a bit there. There's no way I'm going to be able to see the bottom of this one because it's stuck behind this little starry thing, this woven star. There we go. Yeah, and I just want to go back and just thicken the bottom lines of these just to help to bring them out that little bit more. Okay. Here, I don't want to do anything. Oh, I could do something here. That's that kind of direction. And just connect that there with inky glue, add some extra dimension there. And then that's sort of like fanning out this way. So I'll just add another one here. Perhaps another one there. I'm deliberately changing the angle of this as I go down because it was beginning to look like it belonged to this one. Just thicken that line to show there's a distinct difference between them, which is another use of thickening lines. It helps to separate out the different elements of a design pattern. drawing. In my world, it does anyway. So we've got all of that going on. So how about some variations? Start at the top with the Foxes. So instead of a pointy leaf shape, how about if we do one that's quite rounded? And this time, instead of putting the seed at the bottom, I'm going to put it at the top so that it's always visible. And instead of one line down the center, I'm actually going to put two. And I'll put a little dot there. I'm not going to do anything in terms of adding lines or patterns here at the moment. I'm not sure what I want to do with them, but I know I want to have these kinds of shapes going on. Again, I'm adding weight to the bottom of these shapes. One that's going to come out here somewhere. I'm going to make it attached to the point of this star. So I'm starting to divide space up, if you like, divide spaces up to give little discrete areas that I can work on, either with filler patterns or with colour or cross hatching, whatever it may be. Don't know yet, but I can certainly do different things there. So we've got a row of this kind of shape, which is interesting. Reminds me of seaweed almost, some kinds of seaweed in some ways. Like it's bladderwrack. There's another one that has, oh, I can't think of its name. It's been so long since I've thought about it, can't remember its name. If it comes to me, I'll mention it. It may do. And then just one here, which would go behind all of these, I think, and get part of this up there and just down there. And all will be fine. And let's just stiffen that up. So we've got those going on, it's quite cute. But we've got other shapes because we can have fun shapes. This time I'm going to put something like that in the centre. I'm going to thicken the outside edges up on the left-hand side with these. Do that one there. And I'm going to just put a heart-shaped one in the middle of this one with a little bit on the top because you can. And then with this one here, and perhaps I can have a wavy line down the bottom where I can perhaps join various bits like that, or not, as the case may be. And I'm just going to weave behind it, both sides really. And so we get a different kind of feel there. So we could just I'm just going to add some line weight to these little bars just to help them to stand out. and the central line as well. Bring the shutter in. Shading and other things will help there. And then my favourite shape is kind of a ginkgo leaf shape, which is basically a triangle where two sides bow inwards and one side bows outwards. Hello, Annette. Lovely to see you again. Long time no see, as it were. So this one is the same basic kind of idea. I mean, I'm not quite sure how these would go together, but I'm taking the shape now and doing variations of the shape of these leaves because I can. Um, they will create a pattern. You, I did some yesterday, didn't I? Did 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 I? I did over here. So they actually will form a repeating pattern here if you don't put the diamonds in and use these leaf shapes there in a way that you can stack them as well or whatever. They'll form an overall pattern, but they're just a different kind of shape using this idea of leaves. So that going on. And of course, I can't go without putting at least two more on, really. They remind me very much of ancient Egypt as well, in some ways. You see them on frescoes and decorations on sarcophagi. Oh, that's just one. Yeah, it's a cab. Yeah. So, and just variations on this leaf. The world is your oyster when it comes to variations of patterns like this. You start with that one shape and see where it goes. I mean, here I've got, this is what I started with, was this particular form of Lee life. Lee life? Lee life. And took the basic shape here, but a bit longer and thinner, and then changed the shape to this. I expect, this is done with wavy lines just forming the reticular, the grid in which you work. And I'm guessing that we could do a reticular that has, I'm guessing, I know I can, where instead of smooth waves, we have diamond shapes instead. And I will again just put an aura around this to say I'm done with this one. Although I might just put an extra layer on this one. And an aura here. And then I can just, same idea here, one end, I'm just going to put something in that is like a seed or I don't know. It seems like a stem, doesn't it? It's whatever you want it to be. Yeah, I'm just going to fill in black here, this gap, because otherwise it may look a bit odd later on. And then I'm just going to draw in that central line. So I'm going to go and tidy up my lines around the edge. It's maybe a sketchbook and, sort of like not very well polished piece, but I still want a bit of tidiness. And then we can decide how we fill these in. And I'm going to fill it in with, I'm going to put little triangle inside these. Yeah. Okay. And I am going to put a double border on these. Quite like that. There's a triple border on though, by the looks on it. They look a bit off center, so I'll just go back and add a lower line as well. So, so we're getting that. And because I've curved those lines, we're already beginning to get that kind of, I know, I know, I know I'm spoiling you. I'm spoiling myself as well. I'm surprised at how much energy I've got today. I think yesterday I think the drawing really helped me and getting me doing creative things is my thing. And it really does help with the autistic overwhelm and close to shutdown burnout as well, it seems to. So I know, I won't be going on much longer here because I've just about finished this page. There are gaps in it, but I'm just about done. And it's and I've caught up mostly. Day 9, well, it's the 11th today, so don't think I'll be doing one tomorrow because I know I've got something on in the morning and something in the evening. So I'll see how I feel in between in the afternoon, but we shall see. So what I'm going to do with this one, perhaps I'll do each row of them differently. On the bottom side, I'm just going to fill this with long, thin ovals, I suppose, just to give a different pattern and texture there. So yeah, I'm going to start in the middle, so I know I've got a good place to start. It doesn't matter if they're the same width, different widths, you just go with the flow. Ever you can fit there. And then here, I'm just going to do the same thing, just there. So that's one way of filling things in. I'm also going to aura this, and I'm going to do this little black center, just auraing that bottom V shape and just giving it what it needs, really. There we go. So that's really quite nice. Here, I'll add in some little little semicircles, like little scales, fish scales, or roof tiles. Be interesting, so we'll get them in there. And this one I will as well. Just adding patterns means that we're adding ink. And when you add ink, you make that space appear darker than the others. It adds interest. If I was to do something with the top section, it would become overly busy. And this one, oh, we do lines that radiate from the center of the underneath here. But let's compare and contrast with lines radiating from the bottom center at the bottom. Different feeling. This one feels more like this is very far away and everything's spreading upwards, whereas this one feels like this is weighing those lines down on that side. And I don't know which one I prefer actually. It's probably this one in some ways for dimensionality. So there's just a few there as to what you could do with these. So let's go adding some colour and some highlights. I won't do everyone. I'm just going to select some of these to do. With these leaves, I'm definitely going to add shadow or a lot of colour at the bottom of them. And I will add just a bit of highlight there and here. And I'll use a tortillon just to help to spread that blue colour out. But here, I really do want to soften the edges. But I want to come back with just a hint of the blue around that bit and just around the edge, just to add a little bit of shadow there, as if this is just falling away, as if it's curved and rounded and lovely, cuddly. I'll deal with the thing there. So I'll just do some more. I'm just going to add shading there. This one's going to have a lot of shading on it because it's in shadow. Again, I'll just add some of this blue around the edge just to bring it to give it that feeling that it's further away from our eyes. Our charcoal, and then I'm just going to soften it and work it into the paper. And if I want more highlights, I can come back with more charcoal, or what I've done a lot is to use a gel pen in different ways here. And so that's beginning to just start to give some dimensionality there. With these, I am going to put a dot there, but I'm also going to go round the outside. So I'm creating something that I suppose looks a little bit like an eye. It just helps to bring this out and gives that as the point where it says, right, this is where we're stuck. I think it would have been better if I hadn't put the black dot in the middle and I just filled this in. And then come back and add the black dot later. Just build something there, but it'll be fine. So those are nice. That works nicely. Okay, so I can tidy that up once everything's finished. Here, I'm just going to add some shading underneath this. I will add a little bit of white here, just to add a little highlight as if it's put out. And then perhaps adding this dark blue at the bottom again. This is where I really want a blender pencil. I'm not using the Zest-It today. Yesterday, I've already said this in the video, blending solution, it gave me a bit of an asthmatic-y thing. I've got windows open and what have you, so I'm having a break today. So we've got that thing on, which is nice enough. I'll just do this one and this one. That's the highlight to it. But then sure, the charcoal is slightly abrasive, so I think that's why we're picking up some of the coloured pencil, which is nice. So we've got that. But I do want some shading around the edge where these overlap. Yeah. And then highlights in the middle. Because I'm using the tortillon, I can just put plenty of charcoal down and then blend it out and preserve as much of a highlight as I can there. But I can also go back and add either more charcoal or I can use my white gel pen. So we're beginning to get the dimension, I think. I sometimes find it quite hard to see what I'm doing, as it were. But eventually works itself out, you know. As in, see the illusion I'm creating, that illusion of dimensionality. I sometimes need a big break from it, and I come back and I go, "Oh yeah, I can see that now." Her nose, it's all flat, and it's just an illusion. But and then it just doesn't want to go, well, I can see that illusion. So it's easier when I look at the camera. Do need some more white in these, though. We are going to add some white dots on these just to bring that white a little brighter. It's just some in the centers of these circles as well, just to suggest that we've got a high point there that's just catching some light. If I keep these a nice triangular shape, then they actually will work better, I think. The central bit here, I'm going to add shading on this end and this end. And then this triangle, I am actually going to go all over it, inside it with white, and then I can come back and add the black dot at a later time. And I do the same with the next layer. But I do something similar with all these layers, you know. I'm getting shadow underneath these lines, the outside edge of this lower bit. Same here. Don't forget about the overlapping, because that helps to separate out layers as well. So let me just come back here. I think I'd use a similar approach for all of them. I mean, these little scales and things are just that little bit too tiny to do anything complex with. But I think I might just go and put like a little line in the middle, just to, as a reminder, I can do other things. Oh, excuse me, I'm hiccuping here terribly. Okay, this one, again, thinking about where the shadows lie. The land of Mordor where the shadows lie. Yeah, Tolkien. I like Tolkien. Always have done since I was a young age. I no longer read the books so often that they fall apart because I have them on Kindle. And I much prefer the audiobooks these days because I can listen to the story while I'm doing art or something else. Thanks there. And let's just so we're trying to blend this in. We've got all of that there. Again, I'm just going to add white gel pen around here. Just to bring that out that little bit. And because it's big enough for me to go around the black, I will. So we've got that one. So that's how I'd approach that one. This one I may do slightly differently because I'm going to add shading on these. And on that. And with a little bit of white. And just blend that in. And I'm going to add the blue shading, a wider area of it there and a little bit across the top. Bottom we really need some because it's being overlain by the lily. Lily. Here we'll have shadow underneath here because it's needs it. And then I'm just going to add some highlight at the top here, just to help to add some right in there. the best colouring in the world, but it gives me that idea of what I want to do. And to be honest with you, I think this might need a little bit of colour on it as well. But this is quite interesting because of the way that the colour goes on top of the white. It shows the colour as being much lighter than it does with the darker colour underneath, the colour of the paper underneath. And so this one I can also just add some little white dots just to bring out some highlights here and there, wherever I think it's going to be brightest, which I think will be this corner, just down this edge to a degree. Just a little over there as well. So that just helps to bring that one out. I'd approach all of these in pretty much the same way. So I am going to say to everybody who has joined me, thank you very much. It's been lovely drawing again. And I do have some gaps here. I've got some bits to colour, but I'll do those off camera because I'm desperate now for a mug of tea, even though I've got a glass of water with me. Really murder a mug of tea and perhaps a couple of biscuits. Let me just zoom out so you can see the whole of this page now. And here it is, and it's glory, if you wish. And there are still some gaps in it. Am I going to add anything? Well, if a pattern comes up in other Zentangle days that needs a square reticulum, I might use those for that. These I may just fill with cross hatching or black just to fill the background in. I quite like the black because it helps the blue to lift up. 'Cause it's kind of a mid-tone blue. It's a blue that's, well, yeah, it's a bit darker than I'd like, but I also like it. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I said it's got day 9 done. What would a day 10 be? Shall I have a look? I said I was going to go, didn't I? But let's have a look and see what day 10 is. Oh, day 10's Zenith. Another ribbon tangle. Um, yeah, day 10, and then I'm only 1 day behind. You get a bonus. I'm not going yet. To put this in, day 10. I don't want to keep writing day. I could just put the number, couldn't I? And there we are. Look at that. I've gone all the way round. I've got a border of letters. May have to go round that and create a border. Zenith is, oh, this one needs some dimension as well. Just thickening the lines to the on the left hand side of each triangle. And then on the inside, oh, I've decided I'm going to thicken those then. There we are. I'll thicken those just like that. Zenith is a nice tangle. It's quite easy. Um, it starts with a chain of little leaf shapes that zigzag their way along. So I'm drawing mine pretty straight, but you can bend them, curve them, put them in a square shape or rectangular shape, round a heart if you wanted to. I'm sure you could. So that's the first step. I'm on camera, aren't I? Yeah, I am. I'll zoom in as well so you can see. So it's this kind of arrangement of leaf shapes, zigzagging. Then where they go inward, you just, oh, where the leaves come down together, you just put these little pointy shapes in. I'm bending the edges, put squares in, you could put circles in, or, semicircles, curves instead. Choice is always yours, but this is the classic, I suppose, Zenith. And then I'm just going to aura around it, top and bottom. Like so. And then I'm just going to put a little circle on the top points of these here, and all's lovely. I'm also going to draw a little mini diamond at the bottom of these and just fill it in with black just to add some contrast more than anything. And I may actually fill the little beads in with black, again, just adding that contrast. And I can put highlights with my gel gel pen, once it's nicely dried. That's Zenith, its basic form. But, oh look, these are dried now. So let's just get some working in the pan. Right, so it's a mistake, whatever I did, I think there. Um, so let's just try this in a different way. So I'm going to do thinner, longer leaves to create a different kind of chain of them. Like so, and instead of adding these little pointy ups, let's add just some arcs, some curves. I actually prefer this one because I like the smoothness here. There's something about it. It reminds me of something and I don't know what. But and again, I'm just going to put a little bit of black in the bottom just to give that a little bit of weight, a little bit of shadow, a little bit dimension. It's a bit nice there. And again, I could, and I'm going to just borrow this. Another one, which I will do here, but I'm just going to do it in just the top half of it. Because then it'll make an interesting border, wouldn't it? Like my pattern's going to be facing inwards, but it would still make a interesting little border. So I'm just going to put a little arc of ink there, and then I'm going to add some petals. Perhaps we've got little flowers instead. And then at the bottom, I could just put some little triangle shapes there just to finish this off. I'm not going to order it because that gives just a nice little pattern. So Zenith's an interesting one. I'm thinking about other shapes you could use, whatever you think of, really. I, I am running out of space, but let's have a look and see if we can do a zenith over here that perhaps has do different shapes. If we make the leaf shape bigger, like so, then we can put things inside this as well. So I'm just going to add dots with a line through it for now. So you need to create something that's a little bit bigger than normal, but it depends how much space you've got. And also what size pen you're using, because I'm using a great big O8 here in my infinite wisdom. But that also gives us more space to do things here. So I'm going to put a little V shape down in there. And the same at the bottom. Instead of the whatever we put somewhere else. So like the diamond shape there, or the little semicircles or petals. And then at the top there, I'm just going to add a little orb instead. And that all just works kind of nicely like that. And I'd be happy with that as a border without anything else. So we have plenty of things. I think I have now filled my page apart from filling in the blanker spaces. So let's just have a look. There we go. It's not a page that is typically me in the way that I draw things, but this is all about Zentangle and it's all about looking at things. I'm not going to do any shading on these. I've done lots of shading, explaining my thoughts where I tend to put things shadow to the left and bottom and light to the top and right. Um, and of course, there's always shadow where things overlap. That's how I do things. And I do like this paler blue compared to the one I used yesterday, and I prefer the coloured pencil on its own rather than using the problem with Zest is it will pick the pigment up, so it becomes a lighter colour. So I may go over some of these with the other coloured pencil just to help to bring the shade shadow out a bit more again. But I may or may not leave it as it is. So thank you so much for joining me. It's been a long one today, again, but as I said right at the beginning of the video, if I do live streams, I don't have to edit. And that means I'm not overwhelmed after doing this. I can go and have a sit down and a break and it's done with. All right. So I'll see you again soon. I don't know whether I'll manage tomorrow because I've got something in the morning and something in the evening tomorrow. And Monday may be a big possibility. All right. I swear to it because I don't know what's in my diary for Monday. I know I've got an appointment next week, someday or other, I think. So I'm not sure. Don't really know. That's what you have diaries for. So look after yourselves. Have a wonderful weekend if I don't spend a little time tomorrow doing this. And I'll look forward to seeing you again when I do. Well, metaphorically seeing you, you know what I mean, being with you. So take care. Hwyl fawr. Ta-ra now.